discussions to the next level. First, I have the honor of inviting Ms. Maria Jos, she, based on the information, there appear to be multiple individuals named Maria Rose Jos, who are professional or researchers provide information specifically about Maria Jos. It's important to clarify which Maria Jos is beginning referred to. However, based on the search results, here is some information about Maria Jos Sousa, who is a university from Lisboa, research interests. Her current research interests include public policies, information science, innovation, and management issues. She has also conducted research in areas such as health policy and digital skills. And she is a best-selling author in ICT and people management, and has co-authored over 70 articles and books chapters. She has published in several scientific journals, including the Journal of Business Research, Information System Frontiers, and European Planning Studies. Also guest editor for several special issues, European projects and experts. We can say that she has participated in several European projects of innovation transfer and is an external expert of COSTA Association. And she is the president of the ISO-TC and Human Resources Management, representing Portugal in the International Organization of Standardization. It's worth noting that here is also a Maria Jos Palma Lamperia dos Santos, associated with INSTE as a researcher at Dynamic Set, with research interests in applied economics and agricultural economics. Today, she will share her valuable insights on SDG 14. And Ms. Maria Jos, please, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so good morning here, good afternoon for the persons who are in the afternoon. And I am very glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation to Professor Rashmi. And I will share with you some of the research based on the SDG that we are discussing today. For doing that, I need to share my presentation, and I cannot do it. Can you please give me access?
Rashmi, can you help us for sharing the screen? We need this.
Okay, thank you so much. I can share my screen now.
Okay.
And so I am a professor of public policies and also management. So my focus is on public policies of innovation, and I am trying to do here this link with the SDG 14, life below water. I have to share with you some of the policies that European Union have been developing for the important issue of our lives. So the SDG 14 is focused on conserving and sustainability using oceans, seas, and marine resources. And of course, there are several regulations because it is important to preserve the oceans that 70% of the Earth's surface and play a crucial role in climate regulation. So it is an effort from the European Union, and all the countries are committed to protecting marine ecosystems through various policies. So the main policies, of course, there are a lot of policies and there are specific policies regarding specific issues, but I am focused on the big policies. And one of the big policies that we are trying to implement is European Green Deal. This is a roadmap for sustainable economic growth, and of course is focused in the sustainability of the planet, of the resources that we have in our planet, and thinking about the future, how we can preserve all the living beings in the earth. But of course, this is also important, linked with the economic growth, because as a society, we need to evolve, we need to develop, but taking in account that we do that, but preserving our resources. So also the Marine Strategy Framework Directive that ensures good environmental status of the European Union waters regarding all the countries, and of course this creates some constraints and condition the way the countries explore the marine resources in their geographical area, and it is really important so countries do not exploit in a way that they will got the resources. Also, the common fishery policies regulates sustainable fishing and prevents overfishing. And for instance, here in Portugal, we have some types of fish that we cannot, our fishers cannot fish for several periods of time, so they can renovate, and well, it is really important to preserve all the species. Also, the European Union Biodiversity Strategy that aims to protect 30% of the EU marine areas by 2013. And also, this is a huge effort from all the European countries, and in partnership with some other countries that are not member states, but with collaboration partnerships with the same focus, that is to protect the sea and the life below the in the sea. Also, the Blue Economy Strategy that supports sustainable use of the ocean resources for economic growth. We have also Horizon Europe research projects that funds marine sustainability and conservation research. This is a huge program that the European Union is extending to other countries beside the member states. And now we did a partnership with Korea, for instance, Canada, Switzerland, several countries, and we are trying to extend this research focus on sustainability of the planet, of planet Earth, of course, and trying to find some strategies that within collaboration of researchers from several countries, so we can understand what kind of challenges we have in specific countries, and study the resources that exist and how we can use it, but in a sustainable way. Of course, this is all very difficult because when we face reality, sometimes it's really difficult to implement this kind of strategies because we have this history, all the countries of European Union, of course, and the focus in the economic goals are really strong, is really strong, and so it's difficult to align the economic growth with the sustainability. But all of these initiatives from the European Commission, they are trying to make people more responsible, and the countries also more responsible, focus on these resources. So Horizon Europe is a huge program with a huge funding for all the countries to study mainly innovation, but innovation in several aspects of our life. The mission to restore our oceans and water is also an initiative of the European Union and aims to clean European waters by 2013. Of course, we know that 2013, it's this it's a goal, but we had this goal for 2020, then we extended to 2013. Perhaps we will, perhaps I'm sure we will extend it further because it's these are very difficult aspects of our planet and the way we live and the way we relate with the other living beings in our planet. So it's an ongoing process, but we have some specific goals by 2030. Also, the EU plastic strategy, it's also a huge problem that we have, a huge challenge. How can we deal with this in all of the countries? And we know that some of the more developed countries, they begin to have a more responsible strategy regarding the use of plastic. But a few years ago, we are focused on this not so long, and we used plastic for so many years, so it's really difficult to implement this strategy, but we are doing this step by step. So is also focused on reducing marine litter and promoting circular economy. So we are talking about circular economy for several years, but in fact, in reality, we are doing small steps regarding this goal. So regarding the European Union, which are the main actors involved in implementing SDG 14 policies? So this includes a mix of European institutions, national governments, international organizations, industry players, and research institutions. So the European Union institution and agencies, we have, of course, the European Commission that develops the policies like the European Green Deal and Marine Strategy Framework Directive to promote ocean sustainability. And of course, all the others. Horizon Europe is also an initiative at the European Commission and the commission, the new, we had several parliamentarians that are focused on these issues, and they are responsible. The head, for instance, the head of Horizon Europe is also a member of the European Commission, and now she's focused, is a lady, and she is focused not only on innovation and sustainability, but also in promoting also economic growth, because all the things are linked. So since she assumed this new mandate a few months ago, it calls startups, innovation and research. So is the link between all of these areas. And I think we cannot overcome these kind of situations of having a better use of our resources if we don't look for from these all several perspectives. So we have the European Parliament, of course, that legislates and oversees the enforcement of marine protection laws. We have the Council of European Union that coordinates member states' efforts in marine conservation and sustainable fisheries. We have European Environment Agency that provides scientific data on the health of Europe, oceans and seas. And we have a European Maritime Safety Agency that oversees maritime safety, pollution prevention, and climate adaptation in European Union waters. But these are the main actors, the big one. Then we have more specific actors in each member state. We have agencies in each member state that are focused on implementing the legislation, the regulations, the directives of the European Commission that are created by all of these main actors. So here they are, the national governments and regional authorities. Each member state implements SDG 14 through national policies and local conservation efforts. But most part of these national policies, they derive from the European policies. So also coastal regions play a key role in enforcing marine protected areas and sustainable fisheries regulations. When we are talking about international and multilateral organizations, we have, of course, United Nations. The EU aligns in policies with UN initiatives like the UN Ocean Conference and Paris Agreement. We have the Food and Agriculture Organization, works with the EU to ensure sustainable fishing under the common fishery policies, and the International Maritime Organization that partners with the EU to regulate shipping emissions and combat marine pollution. Regarding the industry stakeholders and private sector, we have fishing and aquaculture industry. Companies must comply with EU regulations on sustainable fishing quotas and traceability, but we know this is really difficult. And even if they have some constraints from the law, sometimes it's not easy to trace everything that companies do, and sometimes we know that they are not aligned with the EU regulations and the national regulations. But it's also an ongoing process, and this is mostly focused on education, creating mechanisms so companies and their workers can know, have more knowledge about the legislation and how we need to deal with our resources. So that's why it is so important that we focus also on the economic growth, because companies are focused, of course, on economic growth, but they need to comply with the regulations and they need to take care of our resources. And this is sometimes it's a fight between these perspectives. Shipping and transport sector also must adhere to IMO and EU climate targets for reducing maritime emissions. Tech and blue economy startups, innovators in marine conservation, renewable ocean energy, and circular economy practices. When we focus on research institutions and NGOs that are really important, so we can have more knowledge and understand better how we can deal with all the challenge that we have regarding our oceans and all the life that lives in the oceans and the rivers and so on. So EU-funded research focus on climate change, marine biodiversity, and sustainable ocean practices. Horizon Europe has a lot of programs focused on this. So we have, of course, Horizon Europe and marine research projects that the countries can apply and research about these issues. Universities and think tanks, research centers specializing in ocean sustainability, for instance, European Marine Board. Also, ISCTE, University of Salamanca, we have, ISCTE is my university, we have some initiatives regarding this. We have a master course that is about the governance of the seas. So we are really focused also on trying to do some research regarding these kind of challenges of concerns of all population in Earth's planet. Environmental NGOs, of course, Greenpeace, Ocean, WWF, advocate for stronger EU policies on marine conservation and plastic waste reduction. And we know some of their initiatives, they are very highlighted by the social media and other media in a worldwide also perspective. But we have some challenges. We have a lot of institutions that are focused and are concerned, but of course, we all know that the initiatives are very hard to implement when we look to the reality. And these main challenges are really difficult. For instance, marine pollution from plastics and chemicals. This is a huge problem that we have in all of our oceans and all countries, and we are trying to deal with this. Over fishing and illegal fishing activities is also very difficult to trace and to oversee. Climate change and ocean acidification also. And we can think about the future and how we can deal with all of these challenges. For instance, future prospects, strengthening international cooperation, enhancing research and innovation, implementing stricter marine conservation policies. These are possibilities for the future. Of course, what the European are trying to do is to make partnerships within some programs with other parts of the world, not only in Europe, because the problem is not only in Europe, it's all over the world. And because we need to manage our resources in a way that they are sustainable for the future, for our children future, of course. And life below water, it's a huge resource that we have, and it's millions of lives that we need to take care and think how we can define the better strategies, how we can collaborate to implement these strategies and these kind of programs. So for a conclusion, I just need to say that the European Union plays a critical role in achieving SDG 14 through policy making and innovation. Continued efforts are needed to tackle marine pollution and climate-related challenges, and collaboration with international organizations and local communities is the key for the success. And I am very sure that this is a really an important issue. The collaboration, the partnerships that we need to do. It's not only to create policies. It's not only to focus on a small region of the world. Is to try to reach worldwide in all the geographical areas and collaborate together. So thank you so much for your attention, and I finish here my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. You are right. I agree with you. And I hope we have a collaboration with our university and your university about this topic. And for projects, for many kind of researches, we can be together. I hope so. And I sincerely thank Maria Jose for this enlightening presentation. Now I would like to invite our second speaker, Mr. Daniel Gusa, to the stage. He has made significant contributions to our team. Let me to introduce the Daniel Gusa. Daniel Gusa, PhD candidate at Craiova University in Romania, Faculty of Economics and Business Administration. He worked as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Political Science at Albanian University, and advisor to the Cabinet of Minister in the Ministry of Economic Development, Trade and Entrepreneurship before, director of SMEs and exports in the Albanian Investment Development Agency, and many kind of topics he has. And in cooperation with government institutions and international donors has contributed to the drafting of documents or studies related to the sustainable development of enterprises in the Republic of Albania, that we can say. And since 2017, Mr. Gus is the director of the SMEs Academy program, a training program dedicated to the Albanian SMEs. Mr. Gus has contributed to many studies on the performance and developed needs to Albanian SMEs. And today he will share his perspectives on SDG 14. Mr. Daniel Gus, the floor is yours. Thank you.
要不你自己去，要不给老王打电话，你要审议你自己开始办。
Dr. Subedi, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm sorry because I have a problem with internet connection. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, dear colleague, dear participant, honored Professor Guirati, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this important event. I congratulate Professor Guirati for contribution over the years to such initiatives of an international platform. I know it's difficult to bring and coordinate together experts from different fields, different countries, and different continents. So I congratulate you on this. For many years, I have been researching the development of the blue economy concept, looking at the direct and indirect contributions that this concept has to the economies of countries. This newest concept for development of coastline and the oceanic zone is that of the blue economy. According to the World Bank, this concept seeks to promote economic growth and social inclusion while ensuring environmental sustainability. The blue economy has various components, including traditional seafood industries such as tourism, fishing, maritime transport, renewable energy, aquaculture, offshore oil, underwater tourism, etc. As green growth, which focused on the efficient of use natural resources, the blue economy can be developed into a common strategy in this ecosystem. Building a sectoral and cross-sectoral strategy related to this concept would do much more with the approach to foreign direct investment. Blue growth make a major contribution to the economy of developing countries, but also in macro terms of tourism becoming the largest global tourism. World Trade and Tourism Council evaluated the contribution of both travel and tourism approximately 9.8% of the world GDP. The concept of blue economy has attracted the attention of many international authors and organizations focusing on environmental protection and economic development. Definition about this concept are many, but in the economic context, they all fell into one common denominator and have defined the blue concept of economies as well, economic initiatives related to ocean, seas, and coasts. Using the concept of the blue economy was first homogenization move. It allowed arguing that different types of industries has hang together and are interdependent. Secondly, it allowed the Commission to argue that if these industries are seen together, they have scientific potential for economic growth and of the continent. Developing a strategy for economic growth through emphasizing the connection between different maritime industries was hence the primary purpose of employing the concept. Empirically, has been proven by Gunther Pauli that this concept is a new economic model that gives inspiring entrepreneurs and political leaders that means to contemplate and achieve a sustainable future. They will be able to take advantage of meaningful opportunities and make policy decisions that serve both the economic and the community. In order to foreign direct investment be beneficial for a country, the states must provide a pleasant environment. That influence may be beneficial, but it may also be costly. It requires a systematic methodology for recording of data and measures of activities in the blue economy sector. Lack of statistics on developing countries make hardly to well define the impact on GDP of the blue economy. Moreover, without a proper accounting of activities, it is difficult to formulate and implement blue economy strategy in national development plans. As the concept of the blue economy is involving the process of development, a robust and credible accounting framework would be in the interest of all the coastal countries embracing the maritime economy. Various coastal nations have established policies regarding specific sector and industries in general in order to ease the economic activities in the ocean. Increasingly, countries have undertaken efforts to develop more integrated policies, reflection, and underlying ecosystem, including the action coordination of various government agencies. The OECD modeled the development of the ocean economy by 2030, designing many ocean-based industries to surpass the growth of the global economy by actually doubling its contribution in the global added value. The OECD has projected higher rate increase in maritime transport, port services, aquaculture, offshore renewable energy, and maritime tourism. Marine renewable energy is considered to have considerable potential, although it is unlikely to be realized by 2030. The future of ocean economy project to mitigate the shortcoming by projecting the development of the global ocean economy as a whole to 2030, based on enhancing ocean industry database and a model based on a broadly consistent assumption and parameters. The projection is a business as usually scenario or baseline scenario, which assumes a contribution of continuation of past trends, no major policy change, no abrupt technological or environmental developments, and no major surprise. Value added and employment growth from the ocean basis industry continue to progress along the same trajectory to 2030 as in the past reference period. The model designed for this project requires countries and industries specific employment and physical capital stock to be extrapolated under the assumption and past growth rates continue until 2030. The blue economy is not just a concept, but a guide and economic model that required commitment from governments in developing countries, which are beneficial to build policies and expertise in capacity building for projects that serves to the economic development and foreign investment. The case of blue economy in Mediterranean. The sea has always been a strong point of the economies of the Mediterranean. Tourism, fishing, and other industries that depend on the Mediterranean Sea generate at least 450 billion euro per year and support millions of jobs. And this maritime economy is still growing fast. It's been called that the blue gold rush. Tourism, coastal development, shipping, aquaculture, oil and gas production, mining, and offshore wind power are all set to increase dramatically in the Mediterranean Sea over the coming years. Fishers and aquaculture are essential drivers for the blue economy in Mediterranean. They provide essential coastline live food as well as often substantial access to food as part of the Mediterranean. Fishers and aquaculture supply seafood products for human consumption for a mix of local, regional, and international market, also creating many other indirect benefits and thereby maintain the social fabric of many coastal communities. Mediterranean fishing has increased of about 10% in 2018, with overall revenue from 2030 to 2018 between 3.2 to 3.7 billion. In 6 countries, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Spain, Algeria, and Tunisia account 83% of total revenue. Nevertheless, only 6 countries, Morocco, Tunisia, Turkey, Albania, Croatia, and Greece, are net exporter, while the majority of Mediterranean countries really heavily on seafood import. There are some statistics, 600 ports and terminals in Mediterranean, when 150 million size of the coastal population, which doubles during the summer season, 460 million tourist arrivals in 2024, 2 million jobs in the blue economy in the European Union Mediterranean member states. 79% of the total blue economy jobs are provided by tourism and coastal areas. 1 million size of the workforce involved in the direct or indirect employment in the fisheries sectors. 12 billion, the estimate combined output of fishers and aquaculture. 20% share of the Mediterranean in the world global marine products. 25% of the global maritime traffic and 30% of the world oil traffic are concentrated in the Mediterranean. 13.2 share of the Suez Channel pipeline and the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles Strait in the world seaborne oil trade in 2015. and 100,000 number of fishing vessels, of which at least 83% are considered small scale. 30,000. I'm sorry, I'm continuing with these figures, but it's important to bring it here. 30,900 fish farms, almost all of which are small to medium-sized enterprises and family-owned farms. 18% average of total catch that discard, and a lot. I'm bringing these figures because I want to tell the importance of blue economy and the Mediterranean case in this concept. Albanian case study. Albania is a country in Southeast Europe positioned on the Adriatic and Ionian Sea, with a coastline of about 362 kilometers. In recent decades, coastal region has played an important role in the economic development of Albania. The coasts represent an area with potential multiply the use and development of which has a significant impact indirectly in the economic development of country. The coastal belts represent a development priority in relation to other areas with the territory. For sustainable development of the constituent economies of the region, coastal should be stimulation, competitive and interactive between them. In the concept of the blue economy, Albania has many sectors that are at its core marine tourism, fishing, oil and gas reserves in the Ionian Sea, offshore renewable energy, underwater archaeology tourism, shipping ports, and many other assets that are underdeveloped, but their management and organization into a cross-cutting strategy would serve as an opportunity in Albania economic development, but also as an attraction for foreign direct investment. Referring to the data from the line ministries for following activities, it's result that coastal tourism is the sector of tourism with the highest contribution to Albanian blue economy. The tourism and travel industry is reported to have a direct contribution in the GDP, approximately 8.5 and 7.7% employment. Albanian coastline tourism comes in many forms, including diving tourism, marine archaeology, eco tourism, recreational fishing, etc. Fishing sector, the exported value in the fishery sector for 2020 was 5.2 billion in Albanian lek. Meanwhile, compared to the 2017, fishing export is increased by 60.2%. Marine service. Currently, the Albanian fishing boats are mostly repaired in Italy. This sector, which is underdeveloped, is thought to be supported so that private entities will have the opportunity to have their services at Albanian ports. Existing marines and ports carry update potential for other uses, such as the creation of public maritime station by contribution to the revitalization of transport maritime. Okay, Albania is part of European Strategy for Adriatic and Ionian region, initiative focusing on the blue economy, regional interaction, environment, quality and sustainable tourism. But this remains the European Commission initiative in this context of integration policies for Western Balkan countries. The conclusion and the implementation of such as policies at the micro level is the responsibility of member states in this initiative until the establishment of a special structure at the executive level for the implementation of the strategy. A success story related in the interplay in the blue economy concept was Port of Vigo in 2018. The commitment of the Port Authority, the Free Economic Zone, and the University of Vigo managed over 45 projects financed by European Commission, and 300 exporters engaged in this implementation of this project. The result of both consortium was building a fish market, studies and training, National Marine Sports Training Center for Professional Training Center, multifunctional marine monitoring ship, etc. As the oceans are facing an international environment, it is important that the international stakeholder maintain a balance between the protection and the use of the sea resources. The World Bank was one of the first institutions to introduce the concept of sustainability, use of ocean resources in 2015, and since many organizations have collaborated to accelerate the throw in the ocean economy. Cross-sector integration into a national strategy of the blue economy based on all economic activities taking place in Albania's largest natural assets in the Ionian and Adriatic Sea is the duty of government, education institutions, the private sector, and civil society, which should launch the design process to identify the challenges project and action to be undertaken referring to the EU countries, and also creation of an package for foreign direct investment. The tourism industry should become an important step those aiming at developing not only the potential of coastline, but also linking it to increase activities that can take place with the territory, providing the condition of sustainable tourism and economic during the years. The development of tourism with various typologies will serve to connect the separate sector of the economy, those creating the link of the value chain through economic clusters. So thank you.
Thank you, dear Daniel, for your contribution. And I extend my gratitude to Daniel Gusce for these valuable contributions. And now I would like to invite our third speaker, Ms. Raina Lampo, to the stage. She has made substantial contributions to our team through her work. And it is my distinct privilege to introduce our third speaker, Raina Lampo, an internationally acclaimed educator whose work transcends traditional boundaries of teaching. Raina Lampo is a distinguished global educator, STEM instructor, and a researcher from Greece, whose innovative approaches to the education have earned her worldwide recognition. She currently serves as a STEM instructor at the Greek Astronomy and Space Company and works at the Greek Ministry of Education's Directorate of Educational Technology and Innovation, where she develops cutting-edge STEM projects for schools across Greece. Her academic background is impressive as it is diverse, holding both a bachelor's and master's degree in French language and literature, as well as a master's education with a focus on cognitive neurosciences. She's currently pursuing her PhD in environmental and peace education, further expanding her expertise. And Ms. Lampo's contributions to education have been recognized at the highest levels. She was a finalist for the prestigious Global Teacher Prize in 1990 and has subsequently won the Global Teacher Award multiple times in 2020. She was honored as a global icon and featured among top women entrepreneurs and successful business leaders. As the ambassador of education of Grace, Reina has received over 100 national and international prizes for her works. She is the founder and international coordinator of several innovative projects allied with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Her research and teaching philosophy interests them with astronomy, physics, and language teaching, while emphasizing brain-based learning and the integration of artificial intelligence in education. She's particularly passionate about addressing gender perspectives in research, human rights, peace education, and increasing women's representing in STEM fields. Beyond her educational work, Reina serves as a global peace ambassador, a senior advisor of the United Nations Peacekeepers Federal Council, and holds numerous advisory positions in international organizations dedicated to education, leadership, and peace. She is also accomplished author of science books for children, making complex concepts accessible to young minds. So, floor is yours, Ms. Reina Lampo. Thank you for your contribution again.
Thank you so much. Warm greetings from Athens, from Greece. It's a great honor for me to be invited here today. I would like to welcome you all, me too, to this great the National Faculty Development Program. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all organizers of Sakarya University of Applied Science, as well as to Trade-Planner Global Association. And I would like to warmly thank Dr. Rashmi for the kind invitation. Before starting sharing my PowerPoint, I want to say that today I will focus on two major topics. The first one will be on tsunamis and coastal communities and what the sustainable marine recovery strategies we can discuss. And the second one will be focused on deep sea ecosystems and disaster response, how we can address the impacts of underwater earthquakes. Because we need to address the significant challenges, the aftermath of tsunamis, and the vital role of deep sea ecosystems in disaster response, because we know that tsunamis have historically caused immense destruction. The scale of devastation is staggering, but also the resilience of the communities that face these challenges is head-on. And today we're going to discuss not only, of course, the impacts, but the innovative, sustainable strategies that can help actually these communities recover, rebuild, and adapt to a changing world. Because we know that marine ecosystems play a pivotal role in the health and stability of our planet, and every part of our marine environment is interconnected. We need to understand this. So as coastal communities recover, the importance of maintaining and protecting these ecosystems cannot be overlooked. And at the same time, we cannot overlook the critical role of deep sea ecosystems in disaster response, because often hidden beneath the surface, these vast and complex environments harbor biological processes that actually support life both in the ocean and on land. So understanding how underwater earthquakes and the resulting tsunamis affect the deep sea life and ecosystems will guide us in formulating more effective disaster management strategies, ultimately mitigating the long-term impacts on both marine life and human communities. So allow me to share now my presentation, because I have a lot to say today. Okay. I don't know if it's visible now.
It's visible.
Okay, thank you. Can you see also the change of slides?
Yes, it's
Okay,
changing.
thank you. So, okay, tsunamis on coastal environments are profound, and the sustainable marine recovery hinges on what we call a multi-pronged or multi-layered approach, because ecosystem restoration is a crucial starting point, and equally important are community-based recovery efforts, and on a broader scale, of course, effective policies and governance play a pivotal role. So first, we need to understand the phenomenon of tsunamis. What are the primary causes of tsunamis and how do they form? The most common cause of tsunamis is underwater earthquakes, and these occur when there is a sudden release of energy along fault lines beneath the ocean floor, causing the seafloor to either rise or fall abruptly. And what about the formation process? When an earthquake causes the seafloor to shift vertically, then the water above the displaced section of the seafloor is moved. This vertical displacement creates a series of waves that travel outward from the earthquake's epicenter in all directions. So in deep water, these waves travel unnoticed at high speed, and however, as they approach shallow coastal areas, the waves slow down and increase in height, often growing to massive proportion as they reach land. And what about subduction zones? Most tsunami-generating earthquakes occur in subduction zones where one tectonic plate is forced beneath another. So these zones are often associated with strong, deep focus earthquakes. The secondary cause is that usually underwater volcanic eruptions can cause tsunamis, though they are less common than earthquake-induced tsunamis. Volcanic eruptions or volcanic collapses can displace large amounts of water, triggering waves. And when a volcano erupts underwater, the explosion or the collapse of a volcanic island can displace water. So this displacement of water creates waves that actually propagate across the ocean, much like those generated by earthquakes. So if the eruption involves a significant collapse or landslide of volcanic material into the ocean, this can result in large tsunami waves. The most common example is the eruption in Indonesia, which triggered a series of tsunamis due to both the volcanic explosion and the collapse of the island into the sea. Another secondary cause has to do with submarine landslides or underwater landslides, which occur when large volumes of sediment, rocks, or debris suddenly fall off the continent shelf or slope into deeper waters. So the sudden displacement of water caused by landslide generates waves, much like the other tsunami-generating events. So the size and impact of the tsunami will depend, we could say, on the scale of the landslide and the volume of material that is displayed. So these types of tsunamis tend to be smaller, but still can cause significant damage in the immediate vicinity. And the landslide can be triggered by factors such as earthquakes, volcanic activity, underwater mining operations. In some cases, they can also be caused by tsunami waves themselves, where an initial tsunami triggers a secondary landslide along the ocean floor. The glacier calving, which is a rare cause, this occurs when large chunks of ice break off from a glacier or fall into the sea. So while it is relatively rare, this process can sometimes create tsunamis. So when a massive ice chunk crashes into the water, the displacement of water can generate waves. However, these waves are typically smaller compared to earthquake or volcanic-induced tsunamis. And nevertheless, in areas with large glaciers, this phenomenon can have a significant impact on local coastal areas. What about meteorite? Extremely rare cause, but this exists. Meteorites can trigger tsunamis, although they are very rare. When a larger meteorite strikes the ocean, the rapid displacement of water can generate waves. And the impact of large meteorite creates a sudden, forceful displacement of water, similar to the way a stone thrown into a pond creates ripples. So depending on the size and velocity of the meteorite, this can lead to large waves that propagate across the ocean. However, as I said, it's an extremely rare event. It is not considered as a major cause of tsunamis. So how does the energy of a tsunami differ from regular ocean waves in terms of the origin and cause? The regular ocean waves are typically generated by the wind blowing across the surface of the ocean. So the energy is transferred from the wind to the water, creating surface waves. And these waves are generally shallow, only affecting the surface layers. And they are influenced by local weather patterns. The typical wavelength for ocean waves is shorter, ranging from 100 to 200 meters, and the wave period is usually around 10 to 20 seconds. On the other hand, for tsunamis are usually caused by underwater disturbances, such as earthquakes or volcanic eruptions or underwater landslides. So these events displace a massive amount of water, creating waves that travel across the ocean. The energy of a tsunami comes from the vertical displacement of the ocean floor during an earthquake or other seismic activity, rather than from wind. And tsunami wavelengths here can be extremely long, often exceeding 100 kilometers, and the period can be 10 to 16 minutes, much longer than regular waves. And what about the wave energy and depth? The regular ocean waves, on one hand, mainly affect the surface layers of the ocean. Because these waves are generated by wind, their energy decreases with depth. Their impact is limited to the surface where the wave interacts with boats, beaches, and coastal structures. And on the other hand, tsunamis have much more energy and affect the entire depth of the ocean. Even in deep water, a tsunami's energy is distributed across the entire column, from the surface down to the ocean floor. So this deep energy distribution allows tsunamis to travel across entire oceans basins with little loss of energy, making them capable of reaching coastal areas far from their origin. And what about the wave behavior? Talk about the wave behavior. The regular ocean waves move relatively slowly, typically at speeds of 30 to 40 kilometers. They are limited to the surface and then break when they approach the shore due to the shallow water near coastlines. And on the other hand, tsunamis travel at incredibly high speeds in deep water, up to 500 to 800 kilometers per hour, much faster than regular waves. And despite their speed, the tsunamis are not noticeable in the deep ocean because of the very long wavelengths. So as they approach shallow coastal waters, the speed decreases, but their height can increase dramatically. And what about the wave height? The regular ocean waves, especially those created by wind, generally have much lower wave heights and tend to be relatively short-lived. On the other hand, tsunamis, the energy contained in tsunami is immense. So as the tsunami approaches the coast and the water becomes shallower, the wave compresses, we could say, and the height dramatically increases. So tsunami waves can reach 10 meters high, with some notable examples reaching heights of 30 meters or more when they hit land. So tsunamis can strike with multiple waves and cause severe destruction, often with the first wave being followed by others that are strong or stronger, with little or no time for evacuation in many cases. And in terms of duration and frequency, the regular ocean waves are typically short-lived and repetitive, coming in cycles every 10 to 20 seconds. On the other hand, tsunamis have longer intervals between each wave, ranging from minutes to hours. So after the initial wave hits, there may be several more waves over a span of hours, each one potentially being as destructive or more than the first. So the duration of a tsunami event can last much longer than that of regular ocean waves, with waves continuing for hours after the initial impact. What are the early warning signs of an impending tsunami? Stronger earthquakes, especially those that last for more than 20 seconds, are one of the primary indicators of a possible tsunami. Earthquakes that occur under the ocean, particularly along subduction zones that I mentioned before, where tectonic plates converge, can trigger tsunami waves. If an earthquake is felt, particularly with intense shaking or a noticeable shift in ground movement, it's a key red flag. Before a tsunami also, the water along the shore may quickly recede. So this exposing the sea floor, rocks, and reefs are typically underwater. And this phenomenon happens because the tsunami waves are pulling back to gather force, leaving the shore temporarily dry. This drawback can last everywhere and anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes, and is often followed by a much larger wave. After an earthquake also, for a visible water recession, if you see waves behaving unusually with a rapid rise and fall of water levels, this is another warning sign. Rock waves or large unusual waves, wave surges can be precursors to a tsunami. If you are in an area near the coastline and see large towering waves moving towards land, it's a strong sign also that tsunami is on its way, so visible tsunami waves. This can appear in sets. It can be quite distinct from regular ocean waves. They may look more like a wall of water coming ashore. And modern tsunami warning signs, such as buoys or seismographs, use actually data from earthquakes and ocean behavior to issue official alerts. These warnings are typically broadcast broadcast via radio, via TV, text messages, etc. So it's vital to stay informed through the systems as they provide more specific predictions based on seismic and oceanic data. Of course, there have been anecdotal reports that some animals, particularly those living near the coast, react to the vibrations of disturbances from an impending tsunami by acting unusually agitated, moving to higher ground, or fleeing the area. So while this behavior isn't significantly proven as a reliable warning, it has been observed in some cases, especially with terrestrial and marine animals. The lack of tsunami warning or delays, or in rare cases, a tsunami can be triggered by underwater landslides, which may not be accompanied by noticeable earthquakes. So therefore, a lack of earthquake activity doesn't always guarantee safety, making it important to stay alert to local authorities and warning systems. So how does climate change potentially influence the frequency and severity of tsunamis? Of course, because it's related with sea level rise, coastal erosion, the changes in ocean currents, while not directly related to tsunamis, climate change can influence ocean currents and seafloor conditions, which may, in some cases, indirectly affect the tsunami behavior. For instance, changes in ocean temperature and circulation patterns could potentially affect underwater geological processes like shifting tectonic plates or volcanic activity, though this connection is not well understood or proven at a large scale. Climate change-induced extreme weather events such as hurricane or typhoons can interfere with the infrastructure used for tsunami detection and warning systems. So these systems rely on seismic data, ocean buoys, and satellite imagery, and extreme weather events might disrupt these technologies, delaying or complicating early warnings. We're going to see about how technology can help us in this and how the role of artificial intelligence, how machine learning helps us. And the effects of climate change could impact the reliability of existing monitoring systems, making it more difficult to provide timely warnings. And increased frequency of other natural disasters, while climate change doesn't directly cause tsunamis, it does contribute to an increase in other natural disasters that actually can compound the impact of a tsunami. For example, storms or hurricanes or flooding are becoming more frequent and intense in many regions due to climate change. So if a tsunami were to strike during such an event, the combined effect could lead to more severe consequences for coastal populations and ecosystems. So what is the impact of coastal communities? Short-term and long-term, this has to do, of course, with the physical destruction of habitats and water intrusion, massive mortality of marine life, food chain disruption, the long-term effects related of loss of biodiversity, changes in coastal geomorphology, the slow recovery of critical habitats, persistent pollution, the impact of human ecosystem relationship, and of course, ecosystem imbalance. So tsunamis actually affect the livelihoods of coastal populations because we're talking about destructions of house, damage to local economies, job loss. We talk about the loss of natural resources, the health impacts. Don't forget that this is related with mental health problems, which affect the people's ability to work and rebuild their lives. The displacement and migration disrupts social structures and decreases pressure on other areas. And the psychological trauma, because the emotional toll of losing our homes and livelihoods can affect the people's ability to recover and rebuild. So, social and psychological effects And now, what are some real examples of countries affected by tsunamis? I think Indonesia is one of the hardest hit countries, according to all researches, and Japan, Sri Lanka, Thailand. We have seen Japan, over 15,000 people died, so major damages to nuclear facilities. Also, this period, water contaminated also farmland. Rainy crops, and in Sri Lanka, over 30,000 fatalities. Thailand, tourism took years to recover. In India also, in 2004, in Indian Ocean tsunami, etc. So, the challenges in marine recovery are related with habitat destruction, with invasive species, with the loss of breeding populations, the lack of scientific data, climate change stressors. So how does salinity intrusion affect both marine life and coastal agriculture? Because first, if we talk about the impact of marine life, it's related with food chain disruption, habitat disruption, the impact on coastal agriculture, the soil degradation, the water quality decline, the livestock health, the reduced crop yield. So in what ways does marine debris impact the recovery on coastal waters? The coral reef damage, for example, floating debris such as large pieces of wood, plastic, and metal can physically damage delicate coral reefs when they become trapped or collide with the reef. And this can break or smother the corals, disrupting marine life that depends on these habitats for shelter and food. Or mangrove destruction, mangroves, which are vital for coastal protection and biodiversity, can be uprooted or damaged by debris. So this diminishes their ability to act as natural barriers against the storm surges and erosion, further destabilizing the coastline. The pollution, because many items in marine debris like oil or plastics, metals carry toxic substances that can leach into the water. These chemicals can contaminate the marine environment, affecting the health of fish, marine mammals, and plants. So long-term exposure to these pollutants harms the growth and production of marine life. The plastics from debris eventually break down into smaller particles, which are ingested by marine organisms, and this can cause digestive blockages, toxic build-up, and even transfer harmful chemicals through the food chain. The entanglement and digestive marine life is related with how, for example, marine animals, such as fish or turtles, seabirds, can become entangled in discarded fishing nets and ropes and other debris, and this can lead to injuries, strangulation, death. Ingestion, because many marine species mistake smaller debris such as plastic pellets or food packaging for food. So ingesting these items can lead to malnutrition, starvation, or poisoning. The disruption of natural processes, low ecosystem recovery, economic opportunities. So some sustainable recovery strategies. The role of community is important because here we need to take into consideration to leverage, we could say, the local knowledge and experience, because communities living near the coast have a deep understanding of local ecosystems, their changes, and the best ways to restore them. So this traditional ecological knowledge can help inform effective recovery strategies. Locals often know about historical patterns of life, and they can offer insights that scientists might overlook, especially in remote or less studied areas. Sustainable resource management, where communities are directly involved in the management of marine resources, they are more likely to support and maintain long-term sustainable practices. So this reduces the pressure on ecosystem from overfishing, habitat destruction, and other harmful activities. Community-led, what we call marine protected areas, for example, are more successful because people are invested in protecting the local environment. Increase education and awareness, because this fosters education about the importance of marine biodiversity. When local populations understand environmental challenges, they are more likely to support and engage in activities like cleanups or habitat restoration or sustainable fishing practices. And giving communities also a sense of ownership over marine recovery efforts, this helps empower them to act and take responsibility for protecting local ecosystems. When communities feel that they have a stake in the success of restoration, they are more motivated to protect the environment and support policy changes that promote conservation. Alternative livelihoods, economic benefits, recovery efforts can be linked to this, such as ecotourism or sustainable fishing or seaweed farming, which provide economic incentives for local communities, building stronger networks for advocacy. There are many examples, of course, worldwide. In Philippines, for example, coastal communities are heavily involved in the restoration of coral reefs through initiatives like community-based coast resource management, etc. So traditional enhances modern marine recovery strategies because of these traditional fishing practices, which include seasonal fishing restrictions or the use of selective fishing gear, the rotation of fishing areas to allow marine populations to recover. Modern recovery strategies can incorporate actually these practices to ensure that marine resources are used in ways that do not overwhelm the ecosystem. And many coastal communities have long established practices of protecting certain marine areas, integrating these traditional protected areas with modern marine protected areas. This can help enhance biodiversity, conservation, and protect critical habitats like coral reefs and mangroves. Ecological restoration techniques, we talk about local planting techniques, the indigenous knowledge about local plants, mangroves, seagrasses, and other coastal vegetation can provide valuable guidance in restoration efforts. Understanding of natural cycles, such as migration patterns of species, tidal movements, or seasonal variations. This knowledge can guide the timing and methods of ecological restoration efforts to align with the natural rhythms of the ecosystem, leading to, of course, to more successful recovery. Disaster resilience and preparedness, because many coastal communities have developed these systems based on observation of natural signs such as animal behavior, changes in the sky, or shifts in weather patterns. And these systems can complement modern tsunami, storm surge, or earthquake early warning systems, providing an additional, we could say, layer of preparedness and resilience for coastal populations. And at the same time, traditional knowledge about how to cope with extreme weather events, this can inform modern disaster risk reduction strategies. This enhances the community's ability to adapt to and recover from future marine disasters like tsunamis or hurricanes. More enhanced biodiversity, understanding of local species ecosystems, because this includes the relationships between different organisms, the health of the environment. This knowledge can inform modern efforts to restore marine biodiversity by guiding the selection of native species for restoration by providing insights into how different species interact in the ecosystem. The species protection and conservation. Many traditional cultures have specific ritual or taboos designed to protect certain species during the breeding seasons or to ensure that the population do not become overexploited. The community involvement mentioned before, the local knowledge and participation. The strengthening of social resilience. This kind of knowledge is often rooted in collective decision-making, mutual support, and community relationships. So the social resilience can be harnessed in modern recovery strategies, encouraging cooperative actions that enhance community recovery after a disaster. Strengthening the cultural connection, this means that for many coastal indigenous communities, the ocean and its resources are not just economic assets, but are deeply tied to cultural identity and spiritual beliefs. So by creating this knowledge, recovery strategies can ensure that cultural connections to marine environments are maintained and strengthened. Artificial reefs help in marine ecosystem recovery because they provide a habitat for marine life. They create new surfaces for marine organisms to colonize, which is particularly important in areas where natural reefs can be damaged or destroyed. And this can provide shelter or breeding grounds and food sources for a variety of marine species. By offering new habitats, artificial reefs can increase the biodiversity of an area, and artificial reefs can also help alleviate the pressure on natural ecosystems such as coral reefs by actually providing alternative habitats. So this is particularly important as natural reefs face threats from climate change, overfishing, and depopulation. The erosion control, this can be particularly beneficial in protecting coastlines from storm surges and providing a natural barrier to protect coastal infrastructure, promote fisheries and support local ecosystems. we can accelerate this ecosystem recovery and reduce the human impact. This helps to reduce human pressure actually on natural reefs, which may be vulnerable to overuse on environmental degradation. How actually policy governance, how can marine spatial planning reduce the risks of future disasters by identifying vulnerable areas? What we call marine spatial planning is a strategic approach to managing marine resources and species in a way that actually balances environmental, economic, social interests. So by identifying these vulnerable areas, by understanding where these risks are greatest, we can guide land use policies and the placement of infrastructure, reducing the exposure of vulnerable communities to future disasters. We can enhance disaster preparedness by facilitating early warning systems. We can designate safe zones by strategically planning where human activities such as construction or industrial development take place. This planning helps to avoid the placement of critical infrastructure in high-risk zones and protecting natural defenses, because this promotes the conservation and restoration of natural coastal defenses such as mangroves or coral reefs, sand dunes, which play a key role in reducing the impact of storm surges, erosion, and flooding. So this means strengthening the resilience of coastal communities to disasters by acting as natural buffers. So coordinating response efforts, because this fosters a collaborative approach to disaster management, bringing together governments, local authorities, various stakeholders to coordinate response strategies. And it ensures that resources such as emergency shelters or evacuation routes or recovery efforts are allocated more efficiently and directed toward the more vulnerable areas. Promoting sustainable marine resource management, reducing environmental stressors, as we say, because overfishing, pollution, weaken marine ecosystems, reduce their ability to act as natural buffers during disasters. So the planning supports sustainable management of marine resources, ensuring that ecosystems remain healthy and capable of providing disaster-reducing services like coastal protection and carbon sequestration, and avoiding overdevelopment and unsustainable practices, because by limiting overdevelopment, planning ensures that ecosystems are not compromised and maintaining the natural resilience of coastal areas. And addressing climate change impacts. Through this planning, authorities can identify areas that are most affected by climate change, such as rising sea levels or increased storm frequency, and adapt the plans accordingly. And on the other hand, the restoration of coastal ecosystems, this can help sequester carbon, reducing the overall impact of climate change. So carbon sequestration is very important. In any case, integrating holistic risk management, multi-hazard risk assessment, a holistic approach help reduce cumulative risks. The adaptive management help communities better prepare for future uncertainties, emerging risks. International collaboration, of course, is very important in responding to large-scale marine disasters, through pooling resource expertise, through rapid response and coordination, through shared responsibility and accountability, through effective policy development, the capacity building in developing nations, and the shared responsibility, as I said before, fostering long-term sustainability, because marine ecosystems are interconnected. Many environmental issues don't stop at the country level or border. A disaster region can quickly affect neighboring countries or even distant ones due to ocean currents, wind patterns, and migration of marine species. So international cooperation ensures that all affected areas can address the disaster effectively with coordinated efforts. Large-scale marine disasters often require vast resources, both financial and technical. So some countries may have more advanced technologies or expertise or funding than others. So by working together, countries can pool resources, they can share technologies, they can leverage global expertise to contain and mitigate the impact of a disaster. Multilateral frameworks like the International Maritime Organizations that we have, or the United Nations Environmental Program, coordinate rapid responses and facilitate collaboration between countries. Very important, the role of technology and innovation. early warning signs help minimize tsunami damage. Because these warning systems play a crucial role because they are designed actually to detect tsunami-generating events such as earthquakes or underwater volcanic eruptions and provide timely alerts to coastal communities, giving them a chance to evacuate and take protective measures. So first of all, it's about detection. So seismic monitoring that detect and locate undersea earthquake. The ocean buoy systems, these tsunami detection buoys are deployed in the ocean to detect the vertical displacement of the water caused by the underwater earthquake or other tsunami-generating events. And these buoys actually monitor the changes in water pressure that occur as tsunami waves pass beneath them. The sea level sensors in coastal regions, this also means that combining data from seismic stations and ocean sensors and early warning system can identify a tsunami's characteristics. The timely alerts, fast communication systems through sirens, social media websites, local evacuation plans, the improve community preparedness. This has to do public awareness campaigns, the tsunami drills, regular tsunami evacuation drills ensure that communities know exactly how to act when a warning is issued. And these drills help familiarize people with evacuation routes and procedures, reducing panic and confusion during an actual event. The allowing time for evacuation, the lead time, as we say, the lead time that they provide, because depending on the location of the earthquake and the distance to the coast, early warning systems can provide anywhere from minutes to hours of lead time, depending on the geography and technology available. In some cases, tsunamis can take several minutes to travel across deep water, providing time for coastal populations to evacuate. Accurate information to guide the response. So tsunami modeling. Modern tsunami warning systems use advanced tsunami modeling to predict the potential impact of an event. This includes simulating, for example, the propagation of tsunami waves, estimating their height, predicting arrival times at different coastal areas. So these models help provide more specific information, such as which areas will be affected, when the waves are expected to hit, and how severe the waves might be. Alerts typically include after-clear instructions for the public, how to evacuate island, to move designated shelters, avoid the beach, etc., and coordinate with authorities. Reduction of human casualties through faster evacuation, preventing property damage, reducing secondary impacts, and improved post-tsunami recovery through coordinated response, post-tsunami assessment, etc. The data gathered from the early warning systems is valuable for post-event assessments. This information, for example, the height of the waves and the timing of their arrival, this information helps scientists improve future early warning systems, making them more accurate and reliable. Eco-engineering can contribute to coastal resilience through flood prevention, carbon sequestration, sustainable coastal development, water quality improvement through community engagement, through disaster risk reduction, habitat restoration. And technology supports the restoration of coral reefs. How restoration techniques, the coral farming, nursery systems, 3D printing also technology has been used to create artificial reefs and coral reefs that mimic the natural environment. And these artificial structures can be deployed or degraded coral reefs to provide habitat for marine life and encourage coral growth. The genetic engineering, selective breeding, so talk about heat-tolerant coral strains, because we know that one of the main threats to coral reefs is coral bleaching, which is driven by rising ocean temperatures. So scientists are using already genetic technology to develop or identify coral strains that are more heat-tolerant or more resilient to environmental stress. By breeding or by transplanting these resilient corals, it may be possible to restore reefs that would otherwise be vulnerable to bleaching events. The symbiotic microorganism, because coral health is closely linked to the presence of symbiotic algae, which provide corals with nutrients. So researchers are actually exploring the use of genetically modified algae that are more resistant to stress factors like temperature changes, thereby increasing coral resilience. Remote sensing and monitoring, satellites and aerial imaging, satellite imagery and drones equipped with cameras, sensors allow for large-scale monitoring of coral reef conditions. So these technologies can access coral cover, detect the bleaching events, identify areas of degradation, which is crucial for planning restoration activities. The underwater drones, robots, this is what we call remotely operated vehicles, can capture detailed images and videos of coral reefs at depths that are difficult for human divers to access. And these technologies help scientists study coral reef, track changes in reef ecosystems, and assess restoration progress over time. Some robots also are designed to collect and transplant corals onto degraded reefs, providing a more efficient way to restore large areas. So real-time sensors placed on reefs or in the water column can monitor key environmental factors like temperature or salinity or water quality. Artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms can enhance reef restoration by analyzing large sets of data collected by sensors, by drones, by other monitoring technologies. For example, AI can process images of reefs to identify areas of degradation, of bleaching or disease. So by analyzing these images, AI can help track the effectiveness of restoration efforts by monitoring coral growth and ecosystem recovery over time, and by predicting coral bleaching events. So machine learning models can predict when and where coral bleaching is likely to occur based on historical data, water temperature, and other environmental factors. Restoration of coral through artificial reefs, so reinforced concrete, engineered structures that mimic the shape and functionality of natural reefs, and new bioengineered materials that support coral growth and help build artificial reef structures, promoting biodiversity. It's about eco-friendly materials. Citizen science and crowdsourcing, because through these apps and platforms like iNaturalist, we can recollect data, etc. Crowdsource information, can provide large data sets that are available. Restoring marine ecosystems with marine spatial planning for the restoring coral larvae population. And about the ethical considerations, education, public awareness campaigns, both are important to promote awareness and mitigation, to encourage cooperation, to enhance long-term disaster resilience, etc. So now, the second part will focus on deep sea ecosystem now. I will present this very briefly. How to address the impacts of underwater earthquakes? We already mentioned the importance of deep sea ecosystems in climate regulation, in scientific medical discoveries, in geological environmental stability. The frequency of underwater earthquakes, it's very common. It's about 70% of all earthquakes that happen under the oceans. The monitoring and early detection technologies usually are based on seismometers, remote operated vehicles, autonomous underwater vehicles, the ocean observatories, tsunami buoys, underwater acoustic monitoring, fiber optic cables for seismic sensing. The challenges of monitoring the deep ocean, these are related with extreme pressure, with remoteness, with high cost, usually environmental hazards, with limited spatial coverage, ecological sensitivity. The key international collaborations actually in deep ocean monitoring are related. Here we can see some schemes, general bathymetric chart of the oceans, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, the UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanic Commission, the Ocean Networks Canada. We need to know all these things, and other water partnerships, the Global Ocean Observing System. Disaster response and mitigation, the current capabilities related with the early warning system, so tsunami warning centers. For example, Japan Meteorological Agency uses seismic and DART buoy data to issue alerts within minutes of a major undersea quake. DART buoys detect the pressure changes from tsunami waves and send real-time data via satellite. Mobile alerts, sirens, TV, radio distribute warnings globally and locally. The real-time seafloor monitoring through networks like DONET in Japan or Neptune in Canada. These use seismometers and pressure sensors and cable observatories to detect the seafloor changes and support rapid response. Remote technologies can quickly inspect infrastructure or ecosystems post-disaster. For example, damaged pipelines, landslides, they are used usually in oil spill assessment or in undersea cable repairs and habitat damage evaluation. and international coordination because countries share data and alerts through UNESCO, for example, Tsunami Warning Systems or Pacific Tsunami Warning Center or Global Seismographic Network, etc. Coordinated naval forces, coast guards, and disaster agencies. We'll talk about humanitarian response, so post-tsunami recovery response, and the current limitations are related with a limited textile coverage. Large parts of the seafloor are not monitored due to the high cost and sparse sensor networks, the slow data transmission. Remote ocean sensors may not transmit in real time. So in fast developing disasters like near-field tsunamis, these later cost lives. The slow data transmission, slow warning times, the valuable infrastructure, and limited disaster drills, community preparedness, limited community preparedness, and the technology gaps. So the role of marine protected areas is important in help maintain genetic diversity, ecosystem resilience. They help allow fish populations to recover. So fishery management, the habitat protection, the climate change mitigation, scientific research, of course, restorative approaches and innovations. About artificial reefs that we mentioned before, how 3D printing is used, for example, artificial reefs, bioremediation, coastal coral restoration, innovative technologies, restoring coastal habitats, integrated coastal zone management. And what are the future directions in research and policy in this field? More advanced deep sea monitoring techniques, so autonomous AI-driven tools, seafloor observatory networks, so expand observatories with high-resolution seismic, chemical, and biological sensors to monitor these ecosystems continuously. More enhanced earthquake tsunami modeling. So develop ecosystem vulnerability models that actually integrate seismic data with ecological risk factors, improve seafloor mapping and fault zone modeling. Focus on species recovery rates, so research into restoration strategies, including seafloor habitat engineering, the cross-disciplinary collaboration, so support open access data sharing platforms for deep sea seismic and ecological data, policy innovation and marine governance, so update the national frameworks, introduce precautionary policies, establish emergency response protocols, and public engagement, of course. So before concluding, I want to say that the need for a proactive science-based approach is important. We need to understand the complex social systems because the ocean is vast, is dynamic, is largely explored. Science provides the tools to map and monitor the seafloor. We can understand the causes of these events. We can track the long-term changes, and always a proactive research is what can help us identify the high-risk zones for earthquakes, for tsunamis. It can predict the potential impact of these events on ecosystems, on infrastructure, etc. So building early warning systems, we need real-time, proactive, science-based monitor that can detect seismic activity. Proactivity means earlier warnings allowing communities to evacuate and prepare for incoming disasters. And reducing vulnerabilities of coastal communities. A science-based approach allows always for better risk assessment and targeted mitigation strategies. So mapping hazards like tsunami zones, designing resilient infrastructure, conducting community education and drills to prepare for disasters, and of course enhancing technology for real-time monitoring through autonomous underwater vehicles, through advanced data analytics and machine learning that can help predict patterns and improve forecasting accuracy. Of course, the national collaboration also related disasters are global in nature. So this means we need to share data, we coordinate learning systems to collect disaster response efforts. For example, the Seabed 2030 project, a collaborative effort to map the entire ocean floor by 2030, is a proactive step towards better understanding the risks of the hazard of deep sea hazards and protect the deep sea ecosystems, which are very fragile. So proactive monitoring helps mitigate pollution and habitat destruction. So science-based tools help us always safeguard biodiversity. We can always manage more effectively human activities, more responsibly. The ocean is changing rapidly to climate change, so we need to identify early signs of change. So to need to adapt to this changing ocean. Long-term ocean data allows scientists to track ocean acidification and predict the impact of fisheries and marine life. The maritime also is important. The law of sea, here you can see the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea is the backbone, the maritime safety and security law, the maritime boundary dispute resolution, environmental international law, the Paris Agreement, the Convention of Biological Diversity, The principles of this law, which focus always on precautionary principle on intergenerational equity, sustainable development, and the intersection of two climate change, biodiversity, biopollution. Thanks a lot for your attention. Try to stick to the time. For any question, here to, of course, to discuss.
Thank you for your contribution. It's very excited, and your presentation is very good for me. Thank you. I learned much more things from you. I hope we will be together in Turkey also in soon. I thank you all, our distinguished speakers, for their enlightening presentations. I wish you all had a productive day. And now it's my honor to hand over the floor to Mr. Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujrati. Professor Gujrati, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Professor Rania. You have given a very nice presentation, and I think that you have did a very hard work to prepare this presentation. And a lot of information we have got through your presentation. Same, Maria has also prepared a very nice presentation. And Mr. Daniel has given a lot of information related with how the ocean and sea is important for us and how we can keep clean and safe this ocean. So giving us a important time and your knowledge. I hope that a lot of the students are here. They have joined and they have understand that how the oceans are very important for our life. And a lot of the disasters are due to our part because we don't know what we are doing and it's coming in the future. So thank you very much, Professor Rania, Professor Maria, and Professor Daniel, giving us your time. And with that, thank you, Dr. Ashina. You have handled very well this program. And since last month, you were doing the preparation of this program. And all the tradepreneur, UN speakers are here. I give my big thanks to all of you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.